Okay. Welcome back, Nick Lenz. Just got recording classics, less non-classics. This is episode number 1521 and Doubleshot number 14 and 15. Here I'm discussing volumes 3 and 4 of the 2011 printing of Batman No Man's Land. First up, it is volume 3. Yep. Now, this book contains Batman, Shadow of the Bat, 89, 92, Batman, 560 and 571, Detective Comics, 737, 730, only 2 issues, surprisingly, that's a bit of a surprise. Robin, 68 to 72, Azrael, Agent of Bat, number 58, Batman, Legend of Dark Knight, 122 to 124, and Batman, No Man's Land Secret Files, number 1. Now, who writes this stuff? Let's see. Batman 89. Yeah, it's written by Ian Egham. Jen Harvey does 569. And we have Larry Hama basically chipping in for some stuff. We have 736 of the Detective Comics done by Larry Hama. Robin issues are done by Chuck Dixon. Danielle Neal does the Azrael issue. Legends of Dark Knight is, let's see, 122, Larry Hama. 123, Stephen Barnes. 124, Chuck Dixon. Yes. Now, Shadow of the Bat 90, Larry Hama. Batman 570, Barlin Carton Taggart, who also does Detective Comics 737. Shadow of the Bat 91 is basically part one, 2-part story done by Stephen Barnes. Chuck Dixon does 738, and of course 124 one of Legends of Dark Knight. 92 is of Shadow of the Bat is done by Devin Grayson. The No Man's Land Secret Files by Alyssa Carney, and that's it. Now, in these issues, basically, we still have more stuff related to No Man's Land here, but the biggest thing that happened in these issues is the public debut of Harley Quinn and her first fight with the Huntress. Yep, the Huntress. Yep. And, of course, we also continue the partnership of Azrael and the Cassandra Cain Batgirl, which continues throughout the rest of No Man's Land. Though this has a very interesting ending to it, where it sets up a plot thread you see in Volume 4, where apparently Jack Drake has put out a missing persons thing on Tim Drake. Guys gone missing. Excuse me. Mostly put, for some of these early issues, it mostly was the social issues of No Man's Land with relief efforts, camp appearances, but we have guest appearances by the Killer Croc, the Penguin. Yes, the Penguin. Killer Croc is actually a more nicer guy than usual. He's not killing people per se. Nope. Yep. Cassandra Cain herself as well, beating up some goons. I mean, basically the best way to describe these issues, it's simple. Continuing No Man's Land, a little bit of social issues, and a little bit more continuing the Batman stuff. That's the best way to describe a lot of these issues. Yeah, and also apparently the artist who draws Cassandra Cain, draws her suit to be really, really skin tight, to show off every nook and cranny of her body. Makes her think that she's basically, suck her stomach in, and we get plenty of butt shots for her. Yep, plenty of butt shots for Cassandra Cain. Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of her, stuff happening here, but then we have an issue done by Larry Hama where Bane comes back to Gotham. Yes, Bane comes back to Gotham. He plays a small role in these issues. He plays a more slightly or bigger role in the next issues. And does he end up fighting Batman here? No, not really. Actually, he does end up confronting Batman, has a match with him, but ends in a draw. Yeah, that's the thing between the fight between Batman and Bane. The first time they fought, Bane won. In the rematch, Batman won, and all the fights since then, it's always ended in a draw. Yes. Yeah, and also, one of the other big things is that Stephanie's mom finds out she's the spoiler. And she's, like, apparently, once she finds out she's the spoiler, she's out of the rest of the story. Yep, she doesn't come back until after the story wraps up. We also have a appearance by the rat catcher. Yes, the rat catcher, who runs into, and I kid you not, this is probably by far one of the most hilarious scenes I have ever seen in Batman. We have the rat catcher. Let's see if I can find the page here. Coming face to face with Mr. Freeze. And you're probably wondering, what the heck is up with this guy's suit? Well, that's what his suit looked like at this point in time. And we meets up with the rat catcher. He doesn't initially remember him. And he's like, he just walks the sewers, and he's like, uh-oh. Where's that coming from? Victor Freeze! Long time no see. I know you. Oh, it's Flanagan. Last time you were out on Blackgate. The Rat Man. That's me. I'm looking for something. Maybe I can help. Let's stop at Goodson Warehouse. I don't know. I've been down here since breaking out Blackgate. The Freeze. And, of course, he's freezing them with rats. He still calls him Rat Man, even though his name is Rat Catcher. This is just a hilarious scene. You have a brief encounter with Batgirl and a girl. It's interesting you'll see the Rat Catcher team up with the super serious Mr. Freeze. It is so funny seeing this. Like, who would have thunk the Rat Catcher would team up with Mr. Freeze of all people? It's so funny. Yeah, at that one point we actually have the way it's colored. I thought this was really, really weird. We have Batman where it looks like his outfit is now gray, even though, like look at this coloring for this outfit. Like, what the heck? What the heck happened to his attire? I mean, this is not the Chaka outfit. Yeah, this is not the outfit he was wearing during the story. Apparently they changed colors. They changed the color for the outfit for no apparent reason here. Yep. So, yeah. Stop continuing with, well, Cassandra Cain and, well, Azrael. Yep. And then we have Paul Gulacy. Yes, Paul Gulacy comes into No Man's Land. Yep, you can tell it's Paul Gulacy just how he draws women. Like, look at this woman here with a scar on her face. Yep, it's Paul Gulacy. He draws women really, really skinny. He has a reputation of doing that. And look, here's a character who usually pops up in the pages of Robin. I don't remember her name. I know she's like a big gang leader. She's usually a recurring villain for Robin. And this is how Paul Gulacy draws her. Like, okay, fine, whatever. And she appears like this one small bit for No Man's Land, but that's it. Yeah, she doesn't play Harley role at all. She's here for a few issues. Doesn't do live anything. Bane, of course, is still building up his presence in No Man's Land. And look, here's Harley Quinn with the Joker, making their public debut. Yep. And later on, Harley Quinn does fight the Huntress. That was really interesting. Yes. One of the more interesting fights in this series. Yeah, Joker plays a little mini arc here, but his big role comes to the end of No Man's Land, the dead end of No Man's Land. Yep. There's a guy who was, I think it's part of Joker's gang, who hits in Harley, but she's like, "No, thank you. I only want Joker. I only want Mr. J to touch me, not you." Yep. It's like, oh, she's Mr. J. And of course, there's this funny bit where she hops into the arms of the Huntress. I thought this was so funny. Yes, Harley Quinn mean the Huntress. Huntress at this point, this version of Huntress, Helena Martinelli, she's been around for a decade at this point. Harley Quinn just showed up, and now they're fighting. Yep. And then we have, for some reason, like, now we have Batman in another costume. Not the trucker costume. It looks like he's gone back to Neil Adams' costume for some reason. Yeah, for some reason, these issues, he keeps swapping between costumes, between issues for, like, no reason. And look, by the very next issue, he's back in the trucker costume. Yes, he's back in this costume for some strange reason. Like, if I get chance Chuck Dixon again, I'm gonna ask him, like, why the heck did he swap his costume like 3 or 4 times in this actual event? Wouldn't he, have not access to the Batcave at this point? Yep. Penguin, of course, gets interaction with the Joker in here. Yeah. They don't like each other very much. It's not like, well, the rivalry between Penguin and Riddler. Mm-hmm. Yep, and we have sort of this underground thing. This is done by, I think this is Chuck Dixon. No, it's Stephen Barnes. It's more like a Fight Club type of thing for these few issues. Doesn't really accomplish much for No Man's Land, but it's part of the story, so they kind of throw it in here. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, then we have some gang where Bane is beating them up. Yes, Bane is beating people up who are not Batman. And Bane's using guns, which has been unusual for him. And then we have Two-Face encountering Bane, which I think, as far as I know, I think it's the first time Two-Face has ever met Bane, because Bane at this point had been around in comics for, I think it's been about 7 years, 6, 7 years him around. He's never encountered Two-Face before. No, not really, but this is the first time they ever encountered each other. Yes, and here's something really weird, though. This apparently is supposed to be, I think this is supposed to be the Penguin, but he's weirdly drawn. Like, apparently this artist didn't remember exactly what the Penguin looked like, and drew him differently. I thought this was kind of weird. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's one thing I love about this story. You got many firsts in here. Mm-hmm. Like Harley Quinn and the Huntress, Two-Face and the Penguin. Yes. And, well, yeah, and also Two-Face, Bane and Two-Face. Yep. A lot of bits here and there. Batman fighting. And now he's in a slightly different costume. He's back to this outfit again. Yes, apparently the artist of this particular event apparently just cannot decide what the heck he's wearing. And then we have Superman make an appearance. Yes, Superman is back. First time since the start of this event. Yeah, he's undercover for a few issues, and that's it for him. Yeah, he doesn't do a lot in this event. He's a very low-scale character. And then we come to this really, really bad-looking artwork. Oh my gosh. You're like, when you read this, this is done by Michael Zalaw. Like, at first, he was like, okay. And then, this apparently is supposed to be the Penguin. Like, this thing here is supposed to be the Penguin. Like, what the heck is this? Yeah, this is supposed to be the Penguin. And this artwork looks so dreary. Like, I mean, I like the colors. It's just so blurry. And luckily, it was only this one issue. And then we have guest appearance by Poison Ivy, who was completely naked for some reason. Despite the fact last time she was seen, she was actually wearing an apron. No, here she's naked, and she's covered up by her plants to cover up her nude. Yep, apparently this artist make Poison Ivy a nudist, despite the fact she technically isn't. And look, here's Two-Face. Drawn like Tommy Lee Jones. I'm not kidding about that. It looks like Tommy Lee Jones' Batman Forever. I'm like, what the heck? Seriously? Why the heck is he drawn like Tommy Lee Jones for? And then here's the Huntress. Yes, that's the Huntress. She actually looks okay in this artwork. Everyone else looks really weird, just not that good. And look, here's Batman with the actual eyes. I'm like, what the heck? And look, another costume for him. Like, make up your freaking mind, artist. And then we have Killer Croc wearing a suit, which is a bit unusual for him. Yep. And most everything is like wrapping up here. Yeah. And that leads to like the very end. And of course, Stephanie really wanted to help out. We have a cameo posted by the Connor Kent Superboy on Stephanie Brown's wall. I don't remember if in fact she's met him or not. I think she has at this point. Yep, and that's volume 3 for you. This book, really good. I'm going to give this book roughly I'm going to give it 9.5 out of 10. Really good. Now on to the finale for this book. If I can get there, come on. There we go. Moving on to the finale for No Man's Land, Volume 4. Yep. Now this contains pretty much the rest of basically the event. We have Batman Chronicles 18, Batman 572 to 574, the Detective Comics 739 to 741, Batman Legend Dark Knight 125, 126, Batman Robin 73, Batman Shadow Bat 93 and 94, final issues of the series. Azrael, Agent of the Bat 15 to 61, Catwoman 75 to 77, Nightwing issues 38 39, Batman No Man's Land number 0, and Batman No Man's Land Gallery. This input does start, this is pretty much like the wrapping up of the action event itself. I mean, there's a lot of like events happening here, like Killer Croc basically being a supporter for Leslie Tompkins. We kind of see the start basically with something really happening in No Man's Land, like the Alistair were intervening because of Tim Drippy missing. So we have stuff coming in, and we also have Christmas happening in No Man's Land, where we have sort of something where we have, and we also see a debut of Mercy Graves. Yes, Mercy Graves from the Superman animated series makes her debut in this very storyline. How does she make her debut? Just walks into a place run by the Penguin, and it says, I need you to leave. Why? Because Bane is right behind her. Yes, Bane is her bodyguard. Even though she's the bodyguard for Lex Luthor. Yes. Yeah. She's a bodyguard for Lex Luthor. And Bane works for him. Yeah, and then Lex basically publicly chastises the U.S. government for the No Man's Land. So he finds it utterly ridiculous and stupid the fact that they did this. Declare Gotham City in No Man's Land. So basically he's fighting to end No Man's Land once and for all. He kind of succeeds at that. Sets a basically relief effort and begins the beginning and the end of No Man's Land. Yep. And during the Christmas issue, basically, we have this big Christmas tree show up a lot of Camp Lex, where Batgirl was about to touch something. Luckily enough, that Azrael knows something is wrong and covers both Batgirl and Mercy Graves. Mercy Graves was actually when Azrael wakes up later on. This, of course, the Christmas time. Azrael was told via Leslie Tompkins that Mercy Graves was actually pretty happy the fact that he saved her life. Along with Batgirl, of course, he gives her a Christmas present. And in case you're curious, though, was there any blossoming romance? I mean, between Batgirl and Azrael? There were hints of this, but it didn't go anywhere, surprisingly. He did also get a chance to see her mask on. It's like, man, you have such a beautiful face. Why do you keep it covered up? Which, no denying that, Cassandra Cain is a beautiful woman. She gets the reading from our smoking hot mom, Lady Shiva, which, of course, Brian here poked fun of that, basically, in the Batman the Outsider series. Where, because I remember this is so hilarious, where basically shows Duke Thomas that, you think my mom is hot. And then Duke responds with, everybody thinks your mom is hot. And Lady Shiva smiled at that point. Which, yes, that is definitely true. Yep. Which, here's the thing. Cassandra Cain does not find out still Lady Shiva is her mother until her own solo book, which comes after this thing. Of course, Batman pays a visit to Lex, tells him to leave. He later on eventually does, even also thanks to one of the collaborators. Also, we even have Batman. We have Batman as Bruce Wayne contact Lucius Fox, who's still in D.C. Yeah, apparently he's been in D.C. this whole time. Which is quite interesting. He's been absent of this whole storyline. He's like, hey, Lucius, I'm on a beach in Tahiti. Like, do you remember if we actually kept any, we still have all of our property in Gotham, right? He said, yeah, we do. All right. Look at that paperwork, and we'll basically, you hear about the news with Lex? Yeah, I did. Yeah. okay, get the paperwork drawn up, and we'll basically fight. We'll beat the crap out of Lex with basically with legal stuff. He's like, okay, cool. Yep. Oh yeah, and of course they threw this little funny thing in here about a woman basically putting on tanning lotion on Bruce Wayne. I thought this was so funny. By far one of the most hilarious scenes I've seen in this comic. This whole event is so hilarious. And then of course with the stuff gearing up for No Man's Land being revoked and everything moving back in, and then the Joker finally makes his move. Basically, was revealed prior to this that apparently 42 babies were born during No Man's Land. 42! Actually, like 44 according to Alfred. And then Joker kidnaps all the babies. Also, some of the events that are happening here is that this guy named Pruitt is basically working with the Huntress, which apparently also really that Batman's got a lot more territory now than one thinks. So he basically controls almost most of Gotham. The Blue Boys control a little bit. They control, like, the territory is drastically changed. Black Mask does not play a role at all in the story anymore. Nope, they kept changing that for some reason. Excuse me. So, basically we have Sarah Essen, or Sarah Gordon, goes to rescue the babies. And then we have Joker, throws her baby in the arms, and then he shoots her with the baby in his arms. And he does not smile. Usually he smiles. This is one of the rare times he does not smile. For good reason, because this was not funny. Killing a woman who had a baby in her arms. He did not find this funny at all, despite the fact he did it. Yep. So, he comes out, and of course, well, when he's informed by Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock what happened to Sarah, he really lays into Joker. He wants to kill him for killing his wife. He's like, he killed my bride. He shoot my little girl, and then he mentions, I know where your boy is, and then he shoots him in the leg. He shoots Joker in the leg, and then he just turns around and says, arrest him for murder. And the guy GCPD's like, yes, we'll do that. He slap cups on him and he's taken away. Lex, of course, is later formed to leave, and then we're up with a minor plot thread of basically Tim Drake reunited with his father, though they attempt to kidnap him, and then he reunites them. Everything hunky dory, and that kind of ends No Man's Land. No Man's Land is definitely a good event. It kind of felt as though they kept changing their mind with the story. Like, you read these 4 books, it felt as though there was some changes made to the story, like, during the actual event. And there was sort of some consequence to this particular event. I mean, the death of Sarah Essen Gordon. Here's the strange thing about that particular death. Never undone. Nope. Never. Because here's the strange thing. She was never resurrected. Nope, never was. Not even for Blackest Night, which you probably think, because she's one of the characters who died over the years, you would think they would have brought her back. I mean, they brought back Katana's husband and kids during the Outsiders' time of Blackest Night, but did Sarah come back? No. Never did. You're thinking, huh, that's interesting. And did she come back in the current continuity? Shockingly, no. Sarah Gordon has never appeared in the current continuity. They implied year one happened, but as for their marriage, it just never applied to happen. The only woman it's confirmed he was still married to was Barbara, was basically his first wife, which they were divorced because of something that James Gordon Jr. did. Now you might be asking, did Joker ever go to trial for killing Sarah Gordon? Nope, never did. As a matter of fact, the whole thing is basically barely mentioned ever again. And I do like the fact that Batman... Also, there's one thing I gotta mention about this particular event. That during a reconciliation between Batman and Jim Gordon, Batman takes off his mask in front of Jim Gordon. But Jim Gordon turns away. He says, I don't need to know that. By the way, they actually replayed this very scene in Gail Simone's Batgirl when Barbara Gordon attempted to reveal that she was Batgirl to her father. And then he turns his head away. He's like, it's not necessary. Yeah, my guess is the reason why Gail Simone saw recreate that particular scene, because it's done so well here. So recreated for Batgirl, for her perspective, for her father, I thought this was pure genius. It's not exactly something you guys say that Gail Simone ripped off this particular scene. Replaced it with Batgirl. It's perfectly fine. As far as I can tell, I don't think anybody's ever complained about it at all. Yeah, Gail Simone, I think it's sort of a homage to this very scene. Yeah, according to Jim Cornyn, he says, if I want to find your secret identity, I would have found out 10 years ago. Excuse me. Which this particular event confirms that it has been 10 years since Batman first showed up in the post-crisis continuity. Which, okay, that kind of makes sense. Even though at this point, the current continuity at this point been around for about 14 years. Yeah, about 14 years. So, that's okay. I don't think anybody has a really big issue with that. Now, here's something really odd about this particular thing. Now, there were 2 series that ended with this particular event, at least knowing afterwards. Shadow the Bat was a series that was originally done by Alan Grant. He left after issue 82, and then 12 issues later, the book ended. To this day, this book has never been brought back. Never has. They have reprinted it in the series trade paperbacks, but they've never revived the series like they did with Light and Dark Knight. Nope, never did. Yep. Oh, in the case of Catwoman, she would actually continue on for about 17 more issues. Her volume continued for 17 more issues before officially ending, and then being relaunched 2 years later. Okay, what about Robin? Robin would continue for another 9 years before being discontinued and brought back just recently. Nightwing, same thing for him, except he came back 2 years later. Detective Comics and Batman can still continue this very day, despite Batman's been relaunched twice, Detective Comics relaunched once, and then restored to British numbering. Okay, what about Legends of Dark Knight? That would continue for another 6 years before being discontinued. And in the case of Batman Chronicles, this will actually discontinued the following year. After publishing 3 more issues, because this was a quarterly comic book. Yep, that's pretty much what happened with it. And what happened basically behind the scenes with this particular event, aside from cancellation of a couple of comics, well, Denny O'Neil stopped being the editor of the Batman books. He had been editing the Batman books since the 1970s. So I guess he figured, though, it was time for him to go, so he decided to basically just pass it along. He decided to just leave it, and just probably at that point just focus on writing Azrael, which he did for another 3 years before he discontinued the book in the year 2003 at issue 100. Yep. There was actually one new title started after this one, Batgirl, which ended after about 5. I think it ended after about 6 years. This one did. Good book. I reviewed about half of it so far in the new printing trades for Batgirl, which they actually stopped at 3 books for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Yep. But what about the rest of the characters? Well, Bane himself will still occasionally appear after this. And currently in the current continuity, he's dead. Yeah, he got killed by the Joker. They revealed this Infinite Frontier #0. Yep. Joker will also still occasionally make appearances. Matter of fact, you have an event not long after this. Joker's Last Laugh. Yep. But yeah, I give the trade volume 4 a 9.5 out of 10. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Next one, another Comic Corner. And, well, that's probably it for today. But I'm not discussing 2 trades, just some issues from 2 different series, okay? Next video. Bye.